Look, if you honestly believe that hitting your quarterly targets just comes down to a lucky break or roll of the dice, well, you're not really managing, are you? You're gambling. And in the world of high-level operations, hope is absolutely not a strategy. Today in this explainer, we're going to completely dismantle this idea of luck in business. We're diving into the absolute mathematical certainty of success, pulling straight from the hardcore data-driven methodology of Lean Six Sigma. Get ready because we're about to fundamentally change how you view process control. Let this core idea really sink in. To quote the underlying philosophy here, succes in business is geen kwestie van geluk of hopen op een goede afloop. Het is het onvermijdelijke resultaat van een wiskundige formule, I equals f of x. Success isn't luck or hoping for a good outcome. It's the inevitable result of a mathematical formula. This is a total paradigm shift. You don't just sit around hoping for an outcome. You calculate it. You literally engineer it. Every single output your company produces is just the mathematical sum of the inputs and the process that binds them all together. Section 1. The formula for success. You know, a lot of people hear Six Sigma, and they immediately picture dry statistical tools or endless, boring spreadsheets. But they are missing the whole point. Six Sigma is actually this ruthless, data-driven business strategy designed to completely wipe out failure costs. And right at the center of it all is this beautifully simple equation, y equals f of x. All this means is that your outcome, the y, is never just random. No way. It's the logical, unavoidable consequence of how a process, the f, is executed using specific variables or inputs, the x's. So if your product is defective or a delivery is late, that didn't just happen by bad luck. It was mathematically forced to happen by the way your x variables were set up. Okay, let's break this down into your everyday business reality. First, we have Y, the result. Think of this as your output, your effect, or let's be honest, often your biggest headache. It's what the customer actually experiences. Then we have the X's, the variables. These are your root causes, the raw materials, the specific actions your team takes. And finally, F, the function. This is your actual process, how you transform those inputs into the final output. Now here is the absolute golden rule. You cannot directly control Y. You just can't. You can only measure it. If you want to change Y, you literally have to master the X's and optimize that F. Section 2. Blueprint RM&Co in practice. Let's make this concrete. Imagine for a second, we're running operations for Blueprint RM&Co. It's a high-end e-commerce logistics company. We're not shipping cheap plastic toys here. We're handling highly sensitive, incredibly expensive design gadgets. The stakes are massive, and our margin for error is basically zero. So first, we define our ultimate goal, our why, and that why is the flawless 24-hour delivery of this expensive gadget right to the customer's doorstep. In Six Sigma, this is what we call a CTQ. Critical to quality, and it has a strict cutoff. If that package arrives in 25 hours, boom, the Y is a defect. The formula failed. So how on earth do we guarantee this 24-hour target without just crossing our fingers? Well, we do it by finding and controlling our independent X variables. Think of these as the specific knobs on your business's control board that you can actually turn. For our 24-hour delivery, what are those knobs? Let's say X1 is the exact scan time per product in the warehouse. X2 is the real-time accuracy of our inventory software. X3, that's the physical fitness and training level of our packer. And X4 is the exact departure time of the transport truck. If we fiercely control those X's, like making sure scan times are under 2 seconds, software is 99.9% accurate, packers are perfectly trained, and trucks leave right at 1800, then that 24-hour delivery, our Y, it becomes a mathematical guarantee. Section 3. Symptom fighting versus root cause. This right here perfectly highlights the massive gap between just average management and true operational excellence. Picture the typical symptom fighting manager. You know the type. They're standing on the warehouse floor, staring at the clock, just screaming at the team to get the packages out faster. They are desperately trying to control Y directly. But as we just learned, you can't control Y. Y is already decided by the inputs. Yelling at the final output is literally an exercise in futility. Now contrast that with the Six Sigma leader. They aren't yelling at boxes. They are analytically mastering and optimizing those X variables. They go in and fix the scanning software, they retrain the packer. By controlling the root causes, they force the desired outcome to happen. It's brilliant. Now, we do have to live in reality. While we optimize the X's, there's always a slight catch, and our source material points out something absolutely crucial: epsilon. The real formula is y equals f of x plus epsilon. Epsilon is the value of uncertainty. It's that natural noise in any system. Because let's face it, no matter how good you are, y can never be 100% explained by your x variables. A truck gets a flat tire, a freak storm hits. Epsilon is that margin of the unknown. And honestly, that is exactly why keeping a strict, vigilant grip on the variables you can control is so absolutely critical. You have to minimize that uncertainty wherever possible. Section 4. From unpredictable to certainty. So what does this all mean for us? It leads to the ultimate question for any leader. How to transform a process from unforeseen to a mathematical certainty? How do you actually transform a chaotic, unpredictable process into a mathematical certainty? Well, it requires a total rewiring of how you and your team approach daily operations. Here is your rapid-fire blueprint to make that shift. Number 1, stop staring on why. Seriously, stop yelling at the scoreboard and start looking at the players on the field. Number 2, identify your critical X variables. What are the 4 or 5 root inputs that actually dictate your success? Find them. Number 3, optimize the function, the F. Streamline exactly how those inputs interact. And number 4, once you do that, you master the mathematical certainty of success. You completely shift from reactive, stressful firefighting to proactive process control. By adopting this y equals f of x mindset, you finally stop hoping for good days and you start engineering them. You build a resilient, predictable, and highly profitable machine. And that is a strategy you can absolutely take straight to the bank.
Ter lering en vermaak.